11 Things You Should Quietly Eliminate from Your Life. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches us how to live well, by focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. It is a practical and rational way of life that aims to cultivate wisdom, virtue, and happiness. Stoics believe that we are all part of a rational and orderly universe, and that we have a duty to live in harmony with nature and with ourselves. But living according to Stoicism is not easy. It requires constant self-examination, discipline, and courage. It also requires us to eliminate many things from our lives that are not in accordance with our true nature and our rational judgment. These things are often the source of our unhappiness, anxiety, and suffering. They distract us from our true purpose and prevent us from achieving inner peace. In this video, we will explore 11 things that you should quietly eliminate from your life if you want to live like a Stoic. These are not rules or commandments, but rather suggestions and guidelines, based on the teachings of the Stoic masters, such as Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. By eliminating these things, you will free yourself from unnecessary burdens, and you will be able to focus on what really matters, living well and being happy. 1. Complaining. Complaining is one of the most common and useless habits that we have. We complain about the weather, the traffic, the government, the people, the events, and everything else that does not go our way. But what does complaining achieve? Nothing. It only wastes our time and energy, and it makes us more miserable and unhappy. Stoics teach us that we should not complain about anything that is outside of our control, because it is futile and irrational. Instead, we should accept the reality as it is, and focus on how we can respond to it in the best possible way. As Epictetus said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well." Complaining also implies that we are not grateful for what we have, and that we are always looking for something more or something better. But gratitude is one of the most powerful and positive emotions that we can have, and it can transform our lives for the better. Stoics remind us that we should be grateful for everything that we have, even the smallest and simplest things, because they are gifts from the universe, and they are not guaranteed to last. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours." So, instead of complaining, we should practice gratitude. We should appreciate what we have, and not take anything for granted. We should also look for the positive aspects of every situation, and not dwell on the negative ones. We should see every challenge as an opportunity to grow and learn, and not as a problem to avoid or escape. By doing so, we will be happier, more content, and more resilient. 2. Judging. Judging is another common and harmful habit that we have. We judge ourselves, and we judge others. We judge their actions, their words, their appearance, their beliefs, their values, and everything else that we can observe or infer. We judge them based on our own standards, preferences, and expectations, and we often find them lacking or wanting. We criticize them, we blame them, we mock them, we envy them, or we hate them. But judging is not only unfair and unkind, it is also irrational and ignorant. We do not know the whole truth about anyone, not even ourselves. We do not know their motives, their circumstances, their struggles, their goals, or their reasons. We do not know what they have been through, what they are going through, or what they will go through. We do not know what is best for them, or what they are capable of. We do not know what the universe has planned for them, or what role they play in the grand scheme of things. Stoics teach us that we should not judge anyone, because we are not in a position to do so. We are not perfect, we are not wise, and we are not gods. We are human beings, with our own flaws, limitations, and biases. We are also subject to the same fate, the same laws, and the same nature as everyone else. We are all connected, and we are all equal. As Seneca said, we are members of one great body. Nature planted in us a mutual love, and fitted us for a social life. We must consider that we were born for the good of the whole. Judging also harms ourselves, because it makes us arrogant, bitter, and unhappy. It makes us focus on the faults of others, and ignore our own. It makes us compare ourselves to others, and feel either superior or inferior. It makes us resentful, angry, or jealous. It makes us lose sight of our own purpose, and our own happiness. So, instead of judging, we should practice empathy. We should try to understand others, and see things from their perspective. We should respect their choices, and their freedom. We should wish them well, and help them if we can. We should also be humble, and acknowledge our own shortcomings. We should work on improving ourselves, and not worry about others. We should focus on our own actions, and our own character. By doing so, we will be more compassionate, more peaceful, and more happy. 3. Fear. Fear is one of the most powerful and primal emotions that we have. It is a natural and adaptive response to perceived threats or dangers, that prepares us to fight or flee. It is essential for our survival, and it can help us overcome challenges and achieve goals. But fear can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. It can make us avoid or escape situations that are not really threatening or dangerous, but that are merely uncomfortable or unfamiliar. It can make us anxious, nervous, or paranoid. It can make us lose confidence, courage, and hope. Stoics teach us that we should not fear anything that is outside of our control, because it is irrational and useless. Instead, we should face our fears, and challenge them with reason and logic. We should examine the source and the cause of our fears, and question their validity and reality. We should also examine the consequences and the effects of our fears, and ask ourselves if they are worth worrying about. As Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Fear also prevents us from living fully and freely, because it limits our choices, our actions, and our potential. It makes us miss opportunities, and regret not taking them. It makes us settle for less, and not strive for more. It makes us dependent on external factors, and not trust ourselves. It makes us slaves, and not masters. So, instead of fearing, we should practice courage. We should embrace uncertainty, and welcome change. We should try new things, and learn new skills. We should take risks, and face challenges. We should also prepare ourselves for the worst, and accept the inevitable. We should remember that nothing lasts forever, and that everything can be taken away from us. We should also remember that death is not something to be feared, but something to be expected. As Marcus Aurelius said, it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. 4. Anger. Anger is one of the most destructive and harmful emotions that we have. It is a strong and intense feeling of displeasure, hostility, or antagonism, that arises when we perceive that someone or something has wronged us, harmed us, or violated our expectations. It is a natural and human reaction that can motivate us to defend ourselves, to seek justice, or to correct a wrong. But anger can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. It can make us act impulsively, violently, or recklessly. It can make us hurt ourselves, or hurt others. It can make us lose control, reason, and perspective. Stoics teach us that we should not get angry, because it is irrational and useless. Instead, we should control our anger, and calm ourselves down. We should not let our emotions cloud our judgment, or dictate our actions. We should also not let external events or people affect our inner state, or disturb our peace of mind. As Epictetus said, it is not the things themselves that disturb people, but the judgments that they form about them. Anger also harms ourselves, because it makes us unhappy, unhealthy, and unwise. It makes us waste our time and energy, and it makes us suffer. It makes us enemies, and not friends. It makes us miserable, and not happy. So, instead of getting angry, we should practice patience. We should be tolerant, and forgiving. We should understand that people are not perfect, and that they make mistakes. We should also understand that things are not always fair, and that they do not always go our way. We should accept the reality as it is, and not as we wish it to be. 5. Desire. Desire is one of the most seductive and addictive emotions that we have. It is a strong and persistent craving or longing for something that we do not have, or that we want more of. It is a natural and human impulse that can drive us to pursue our goals, to seek pleasure, or to improve ourselves. But desire can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. It can make us greedy, selfish, or lustful. It can make us dissatisfied, restless, or unhappy. It can make us lose sight of what we have, and what we need. Stoics teach us that we should not desire anything that is outside of our control, because it is irrational and useless. Instead, we should limit our desires, and focus on what we have. We should also not desire anything that is not in accordance with our nature, and our reason. We should not desire things that are superficial, trivial, or harmful. We should not desire things that are not good for us, or for others. As Epictetus said, freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of one's desires, but by the removal of desire. Desire also enslaves us, because it makes us dependent on external things, and not on ourselves. It makes us chase after things that are fleeting, and not lasting. It makes us vulnerable to disappointment, frustration, or loss. It makes us unhappy, and not happy. So, instead of desiring, we should practice contentment. We should be happy with what we have, and not crave for what we do not have. We should also be happy with who we are, and not aspire to be someone else. We should appreciate the simple and the essential things in life, and not be distracted by the fancy and the unnecessary ones. We should also be generous, and share what we have with others. By doing so, we will be more independent, more fulfilled, and more happy. 6. Regret. Regret is one of the most painful and paralyzing emotions that we have. It is a negative and sorrowful feeling that arises when we realize that we have made a mistake, or that we have missed an opportunity, or that we have done something wrong. It is a natural and human reaction that can help us learn from our past, to avoid repeating our errors, or to make amends for our wrongs. But regret can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. It can make us dwell on the past, and not live in the present. It can make us blame ourselves, or others, or fate. It can make us depressed, hopeless, or bitter. Stoics teach us that we should not regret anything that is outside of our control, because it is irrational and useless. Instead, we should accept the past, and not try to change it. We should also not regret anything that is in accordance with our nature, and our reason. We should not regret things that we have done well, or that we have done right. We should not regret things that we have done for the good of ourselves, or for the good of others. As Seneca said, no man can live a happy life, or even a supportable life, without the study of wisdom. You know also that a happy life is reached when our wisdom is brought to completion, but that life is at least endurable even when our wisdom is only begun. Regret also prevents us from moving forward, because it makes us stuck in the past, and not look to the future. It makes us miss opportunities, and not take action. It makes us settle for less, and not strive for more. It makes us unhappy, and not happy. So, instead of regretting, we should practice wisdom. We should learn from our past, and not repeat our mistakes. We should also forgive ourselves, and others, and not hold grudges. We should make the best of our present, and not waste it. We should also plan for our future, and not fear it. We should remember that we can always improve ourselves, and our situation, if we use our reason and our will. By doing so, we will be more confident, more hopeful, and more happy. 7. Envy. Envy is one of the most ugly and harmful emotions that we have. It is a negative and resentful feeling that arises when we perceive that someone else has something that we want, or that we think we deserve. It is a natural and human emotion that can motivate us to compete, to improve, or to achieve. But envy can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. It can make us covet, hate, or harm. It can make us unhappy, discontent, or miserable. It can make us lose sight of our own value, and our own happiness. Stoics teach us that we should not envy anyone, because it is irrational and useless. Instead, we should be happy for others, and not resent them. We should also not envy anything that is outside of our control, or that is not in accordance with our nature, or our reason. We should not envy things that are superficial, trivial, or harmful. We should not envy things that are not good for us, or for others. As Epictetus said, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Envy also harms ourselves, because it makes us unhappy, unhealthy, and unwise. It makes us waste our time and energy, and it makes us suffer. It makes us enemies, and not friends. It makes us miserable, and not happy. So, instead of envying, we should practice admiration. We should appreciate the achievements, the qualities, and the virtues of others, and not despise them. We should also learn from them, and emulate them, if they are worthy of imitation. We should also be humble, and acknowledge our own shortcomings. We should work on improving ourselves, and not worry about others. We should focus on our own happiness, and not compare it to others. By doing so, we will be more friendly, more peaceful, and more happy. 8. Pride. Pride is one of the most deceptive and dangerous emotions that we have. It is a positive and satisfying feeling that arises when we think highly of ourselves, or when we receive praise or recognition from others. It is a natural and human emotion that can motivate us to excel, to achieve, or to improve. But pride can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. It can make us arrogant, conceited, or vain. It can make us overestimate ourselves, or underestimate others. It can make us blind, ignorant, or foolish. Stoics teach us that we should not be proud of anything that is outside of our control, or that is not in accordance with our nature, or our reason. We should not be proud of things that are superficial, trivial, or harmful. We should not be proud of things that are not good for us, or for others. We should not be proud of things that are not ours, or that are not permanent. As Epictetus said, "What is the first business of one who practices philosophy? To get rid of self-conceit. For it is impossible for anyone to begin to learn that which he thinks he already knows. Pride also harms ourselves, because it makes us unhappy, unhealthy, and unwise. It makes us waste our time and energy, and it makes us suffer. It makes us enemies, and not friends. It makes us unhappy, and not happy. So, instead of being proud, we should practice humility. We should be modest and realistic. We should acknowledge our own limitations and our own ignorance. We should also appreciate the contributions, the qualities, and the virtues of others, and not despise them. We should also be grateful and acknowledge the role of luck, fate, and nature in our success, and not attribute it all to ourselves. By doing so, we will be more open-minded, more respectful, and more happy. 9. Boredom. Boredom is one of the most common and unpleasant emotions that we have. It is a negative and restless feeling that arises when we are not interested, engaged, or satisfied with what we are doing, or with what is happening around us. It is a natural and human emotion that can drive us to seek novelty, variety, or stimulation. But boredom can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. It can make us lazy, apathetic, or depressed. It can make us waste our time, or misuse our resources. It can make us unhappy, discontent, or miserable. Stoics teach us that we should not be bored, because it is irrational and useless. Instead, we should be interested, engaged, and satisfied with what we are doing, and with what is happening around us. We should also not be bored by anything that is in accordance with our nature and our reason. We should not be bored by things that are simple, essential, or beneficial. We should not be bored by things that are good for us or for others. As Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." For he is not permitted to prove himself. Boredom also prevents us from living fully and freely, because it makes us passive and not active. It makes us miss opportunities and not seize them. It makes us settle for less and not strive for more. It makes us unhappy and not happy. So, instead of being bored, we should practice curiosity. We should explore, discover, and learn new things. We should also challenge ourselves and test our skills and abilities. We should also enjoy the present and not long for the past or the future. We should also find meaning and purpose in what we do, and not do things for the sake of doing them. By doing so, we will be more active, more productive, and more happy. 10. Gossip. Gossip is one of the most widespread and harmful habits that we have. It is a casual and often malicious talk about the affairs, the behavior, or the personal matters of others, especially those who are not present. It is a natural and human impulse that can serve as a source of information, entertainment, or social bonding. But gossip can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. It can make us lie, slander, or betray. It can make us hurt others, or ourselves. It can make us unhappy, discontent, or miserable. Stoics teach us that we should not gossip, because it is irrational and useless. Instead, we should mind our own business, and not interfere with the affairs, the behavior, or the personal matters of others, especially those who are not present. We should also not gossip about anything that is outside of our control, or that is not in accordance with our nature or our reason. We should not gossip about things that are superficial, trivial, or harmful. We should not gossip about things that are not good for us or for others. As Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Gossip also harms ourselves, because it makes us unhappy, unhealthy, and unwise. It makes us waste our time and energy, and it makes us suffer. It makes us enemies, and not friends. It makes us unhappy, and not happy. So, instead of gossiping, we should practice silence. We should be careful and discreet. We should only speak when we have something useful, true, or good to say. We should also listen more and talk less. We should also respect the privacy, the dignity, and the reputation of others, and not expose them or harm them. By doing so, we will be more trustworthy, more respectful, and more happy. 11. Excuses. Excuses are one of the most common and harmful habits that we have. They are reasons or explanations that we give to justify or defend our actions, our words, or our decisions, especially when they are wrong, inappropriate, or unsuccessful. They are natural and human reactions that can help us avoid blame, criticism, or punishment. But excuses can also be irrational, excessive, and harmful. They can make us dishonest, irresponsible, or cowardly. They can make us avoid accountability, responsibility, or improvement. They can make us unhappy, discontent, or miserable. Stoics teach us that we should not make excuses, because they are irrational and useless. Instead, we should admit our mistakes and accept the consequences. We should also not make excuses for anything that is within our control, or that is in accordance with our nature or our reason. We should not make excuses for things that we have done poorly, or that we have done wrong. We should not make excuses for things that we have not done well, or that we have not done right. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Excuses also harm ourselves, because they make us unhappy, unhealthy, and unwise. They make us waste our time and energy, and they make us suffer. They make us weak, and not strong. They make us unhappy, and not happy. So, instead of making excuses, we should practice responsibility. We should be honest and accountable. We should only do what we can, and what we should. We should also learn from our mistakes and correct them. We should also improve ourselves and not blame others. We should remember that we are the only ones who can control our actions, our words, and our decisions, and that we are the only ones who can make ourselves happy or unhappy. By doing so, we will be more free, more virtuous, and more happy. These are 11 things that you should quietly eliminate from your life if you want to live like a Stoic. By eliminating these things, you will free yourself from unnecessary burdens, and you will be able to focus on what really matters, living well and being happy. You will also be able to face any challenge, any adversity, or any situation, with calmness, courage, and wisdom. You will also be able to enjoy the beauty, the wonder, and the joy of life, with gratitude, contentment, and peace. We hope that this video has inspired you, motivated you, and touched you. We hope that you have learned something new, or something useful, or something good. We hope that you have found some value, some meaning, or some purpose in this video. We hope that you have enjoyed this video, and that you will share it with others. Thank you for watching, and remember, the good life is the life according to Stoicism. Folded hands.